Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I am going to give it a moment or so just to allow more of our attendees to join. I can see the numbers are still climbing, so we'll just give it a brief little moment. While we allow some people still to join, please make sure that you can hear me at this point. You should be hearing me. If you can't, please check your audio settings. Make sure that speaker volume is turned up and that you are using your device audio settings. You are currently muted. We do this to minimize the background noise as much as possible. So we will not be able to hear you speak, but towards the end of the session, we do allow for questions and answers. And then you are more than welcome to raise your hand. You'll see that there is a little function in that control box that allows you to raise your hand. I'll unmute you from my side, but please do unmute yourself from your side as well. Then we can answer your question. Please don't wait right up until the end or think that you need to wait up until the end. You are more than welcome to make use of our Q&A box and post the question on there, and we'll gladly pick it up from the Q&A box. My name is Suzanne. I head up client engagement here at Impact. I'm joined this afternoon for a jam-packed session by Serena, Reinhard and Jana. They are part of our learning delivery specialists, qualified teachers, providing you with advice this afternoon on the subject choices. And then also Kara, Senzakile, and Innocent this afternoon assisting with answering questions in the back end. So if you have a question, more than welcome to pop it over. As you can see, we're running a poll at the moment. This is to give us a bit of an idea of when you've joined Impact. It also lets us know if we need to perhaps tell you more about Impact during these sessions, or if you are familiar with us. So that always just helps us a little bit. So let's get right into it. As I've said, this is a very busy session this afternoon, where we will be talking about a number of subjects such as hospitality studies, consumer studies, CAT, IT, EGD. It's really a jam-packed session. Before we get into those subjects, let's first have a look at the compulsory subjects. If you've joined our series of webinars that we've presented these couple of past few weeks, then you would know this slide off by heart already. If you haven't joined any of the previous sessions, then you are more than welcome to either contact us and ask for the recording, or you can just log on to OLP, navigate to the resources section, and under general documents, you will find the upcoming webinar links as well as the recordings of all of the webinars that we've done this year to date, with the last couple of webinars being these subject choice webinars. So if you've missed the mathematics, the sciences, or the languages, please download or have a look at those links. Compulsory subjects at the end of grade 9, where many of our learners are that's attending this afternoon. At the end of grade 9, you need to make that all-important decision on subjects. There are 4 compulsory subjects that you need to take. This being life orientation. We often get asked, but can't I change life orientation to another subject? Unfortunately not. Within the CAPS curriculum, within the National Senior Certificate, this is a compulsory subject. So you have to do life orientation. Go and have a look at the webinar that we presented where life orientation was discussed. It's actually a fascinating subject. It really gives you a lot of. In mathematics or mathematical literacy, this is where you need to choose between the two of these. And I'll talk a little bit about how you make your choices just in a moment. But between maths and maths lit, you'll have to choose either one of the two, and you can't choose both. It's either the one or the other. And then you need to have at least one home language. Impak presents the Afrikaans home language as well as the English home language. You are allowed to take both languages on a home language level, but have a listen and a look at the webinar that we presented on languages to help you make that choice. Bottom line is that you do need two subjects. One must be at least on a home language level, and the other one must be at least on a first additional language. And here Impak presents Afrikaans, English, and isiZulu. So isiZulu, we've always presented to the, or a couple of years ago, started presenting to the little ones. Next year, we'll be presenting isiZulu from grade 1 up until grade 12. So that definitely becomes an option for so many of our clients who've been asking for that additional language. If you choose English, for example, as your home language, you can't choose English as the first additional language. Just keep that in mind. It has to be two different languages on at least those levels. So those are the 4 compulsory subjects. Also offers a variety of elective subjects. And from this group of subjects, you need to choose at least 3 subjects. And as you can see, we offer anything from agricultural management practices right through to your physical sciences, EGD, which we will be speaking about this afternoon, CAT and IT and the rest. A really exciting subject. It's vitally important that you know how to choose those subjects and think about the choice of your subject, because this does give your child a really good entrance into whatever they will be doing after they matriculated. And here's where their career path becomes super important. So first of all, ensure that the learner shows interest in the selected subject. There's nothing worse than having a subject on your plate that you really, really don't like, that you can't do, that you have no interest in. Also be informed about the specific academic requirements. If your child wants to go and study post-matric at a tertiary institution, then they have to actually look at that institution's website, have a look at that particular course that they are interested in, and determine what the requirements for that particular course is. Do keep in mind that this may differ from university to university as well. So one might require the learner to have mathematics as a subject, whereas another might not. So it's really important that they look at the universities that they're considering, or for that matter, any kind of tertiary facility that they would like to study at. They need to look at the course requirements. They need to look at the minimum percentages needed for those subjects. So it's all important that they do quite a bit of research. Life orientation actually has kids do all of those portfolios on careers. This is now where those comes in handy, where they do a bit of a portfolio work on what career path I might be interested in. But we all know that it's really difficult for kids to, at this young age, really make a choice on what I will be doing someday. Some kids just know, but the majority of kids feel a bit lost. And therefore, we are promoting our career compass. It is a 30-minute online questionnaire. It is something like 95 Rand. You buy it from the Optimi Plus store. It does not replace an educational psychologist that would do a full psychometrical test and interview with your child. But this is a quick way to just get an idea of what your child is interested in. Give them a little bit of an idea what career choice they do show interest in, and help them make those all important subject choices. So do have a look at the Optimi Plus website from where you can then purchase that program. And then I just spoke about the different types of subjects or the different subjects we offer. This slide just groups them together in terms of an overarching theme that they have. For example, if you look at the business and management studies, under this will resort accounting, business sciences, and economics. But this does not mean that you have to take all three of those as your elective subjects if you're interested in the business and management studies. You can choose one out of that group and one from a completely different group. We've just put them together in this kind of collection to give you an idea of what they resort under. As Serena will also explain to you, in terms of consumer studies and hospitality studies, you can't take both of those subjects simultaneously. So ideally, you need to attend a session like today to find out what those are all about. And on that note, I am very happy to hand over to Serena, who will be taking you through consumer studies, and then Serena will hand over to our next presenter, taking you through some of our other subjects.
Thank you, Suzanne, and a warm welcome from my side as well. So as Suzanne mentioned, my name is Serena Jordan, and I'm the Chief Educational Specialist for our Services subject and Technology. But this afternoon, I'm going to concentrate on the Services subjects, and the rest of my team will explain to you the other subjects in our grouping. So first off, we're going to start with consumer studies. What is consumer studies? What do I need to know about consumer studies? What does it all pertain to? And what do I need to know about it? So first off, consumer studies is to educate learners on the responsibilities and informed consumer behaviors in terms of food, clothing, housing, furnishing, and household apparatus. So as you can see, there's different kinds of aspects that they touch on throughout their grade 10, 11, and 12 years that they concentrate and discuss while having this subject. When we look at having the advantages for having or taking this subject, first off is to learn new skills. So we want to make sure that learners learn new skills in our very much broadened 21st century. We want to ensure that they are creative, that they do problem solving, and many more of the skills that is incorporated into the subject. Consumer studies also very much focuses on the entrepreneurial side of a business, creating your own business, what opportunities there is in the market, especially when it comes to food and beverage, and how can I take on those opportunities and make it into an entrepreneurial business. Then there's also a little bit of science and technology in this subject, and making learners realize what they can do with this and to use it effectively and critically in the subject. Then, as we all know, our environment is usually in constraint, and this subject also teaches the learners how to take those environmental concerns and how to create or make an opportunity, giving consumers or informing consumers how to be more environmentally friendly, and assist or give advice to producers on how to create a more effective and environmental product. Then it also collect, analyze, and critically evaluate information to acquire the skills to be effective consumers, or in other words, to help consumers to recognize all of these benefits. The learning areas, as already mentioned, is the consumer that they very much focus on, food and nutrition. In other words, how food and nutrition influence the consumer, how can it better our world, and how can we produce new and effective products. They also look at design principles and elements, textile fibers and fabrics, as well as clothing, how clothing can be adapted to certain types of groups. Housing, and then, as already mentioned, the entrepreneurial side of this subject. Then please note that an impact-approved assessor are required when doing the PATs. So it must be somebody that we approve of, in other words, to be the assessor, and that this will be for grade 10 to grade 12 learners. Then the equipment and the apparatus the learners must have for doing practical lessons and PATs, and they have to have a chef uniform. From our side, we provide you with the apron and the chef's hat. And then for consumer studies, Sakai prescribes to us that we do the food production with regards to the practical side. Then what career paths can I follow when taking consumer studies? Please note that these are just some of the career paths. There are many more when it comes to consumer studies. So it's entrepreneurship, consultancy, product development and production, marketing, quality inspection, as well as teaching. The recommended subjects that goes together with consumer studies is our suggestions are accounting, business studies, and then mathematics. Tips for success in completing this subject: to get a subject specialist assisting the learners, especially when it comes to the practical side of this subject. Become prepared or come prepared to all your practical lessons and PAT. And then, as you can see, the PAT comes out of 25% of the final year mark. So this is quite an important section of the subject. So ensuring that the learners are well prepared when coming to this. Then bringing theory to practical, we see that a lot of learners struggle to do that, but taking the theory, whatever they've learned for this subject, and being able to apply to specific scenarios. And then, as we all know, our world is ever changing, so is the field of consumer studies as well. As we all know that consumers daily have new wants, new needs. So learners need to be on top of what the new trends are, what the new inventions are, what the new trends are for our subjects. So they are very much expected of them to do this kind of research as well. Then we're going to look at hospitality studies. So hospitality studies include several independent themes in the hospitality industry. This is also with regards to hygiene, preparation and serving of food, preparation of our venues for functions, setting of tables and for different menus, as well as the correct serving and clearing away techniques. So you can already hear the difference between the consumer studies and the hospitality studies. But let's look at the learning areas involving hospitality studies. So as you can see there, hospitality sectors and careers. In other words, how is the hospitality industry divided into? The kitchen and restaurant activities. We definitely also look at nutrition. Remember, when we set a menu or if we plan a menu for whichever type of group, there also needs to be nutrition involved, and when planning these types of menus. Then menu planning and cost calculation. Remember, if you go into the hospitality industry and you become a chef, you need to be able to do cost calculations. Then we definitely look at the different type of food commodities, pastries, different kinds of meats, etc. Serving of food and beverages. We definitely also look at hygiene, safety, and security. The advantages of taking this subject: once again, joining a rapidly growing industry, to learn new skills, fast thinking, to be creative, to take leadership and to work in a team, opportunity to travel and create entrepreneurial businesses, and then also combining subjects, for example, tourism, business study, and many more. Once again, for this subject, very important to note that you would need an impact-approved assessor to assess the PAT component, and this is also, once again, for the grade 10 to 12 learners. And then the equipment and apparatus for practical lessons and PATs must also be supplied by the learner in order to complete this practical part of the subject. And then please note that learners also need to have a chef and waiter uniform. From our side, once again, the apron and the chef hat will be available to buy from our Plus store, but the waiter uniform would be just a long white shirt, buttoned shirt with a black pants and then closed shoes, and then as well as a bow tie, and then it's not compulsory, but a waistcoat also just gives it a professional look. But that is more or less what your uniform should look like when it comes to these two subjects. Then career paths, when we look at hospitality studies, is cooking or becoming a world-renowned chef, restaurant management, bartending, entrepreneurship, product development and production, as well as teaching. Once again, these are just some of the career paths that you can follow. There are many more when it comes to this industry. Then just some practical tips, once again, for completing the subject, getting a subject specialist to assist, especially with the practical component. If there's any difficult techniques that the learners can't comprehend, or if they're struggling with something, this will very much come in handy. Then be prepared for any practical lessons and PAT. And then as you can see, once again, the PAT that comes out of 25% of the learner's final mark. So this is a very, very important part or portion of the learner's work. Then once again, bringing the theory into practical, whatever they learn in their theory, how to apply it to a real life situation. And then the hospitality industry, once again, also a very rapid changing industry, and the learners needs to know what the new invention, the new skills, what the new plating trends are in the industry to keep up and to make sure that they are on track of the subject. Then as you can see, the logo here of the South African Chefs Association, they have a junior section for this association as well. So learners who really wants to pursue a career in this industry can already join the South African Chefs Association and become part of that industry. Then please go and have a look at our world-renowned chefs. So Jan Hendrik van der Westhuizen is a Michelin star chef, and he has a restaurant in France, and he has done very well for himself as a South African chef. He's also opened up Klein Jan in the Karoo in the Northern Cape. Please go and have a look at what he has done and produced or portrayed in our industry. There's also Chef Chantal Darnell and Ruben Riffel, just to name a few. So please go and have a look, see what they have already done for the industry. Then let's quickly talk about the difference between the two subjects. So as Suzanne mentioned, you can't take both of these subjects. A learner would have to choose either one of the two. So consumer studies, as I already explained, very much focuses on the consumer, their behavior, how they interact, react to certain things, and then also the entrepreneurial side of it. So it focuses on developing knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes in learners to enable them to become responsible and informed consumers for food, clothing, housing, furnishing, and household equipment, and to use these resources optimally in a sustainable manner. And then, as I already said, the food production is the prescribed practical portion of this subject, and they would then need the chef uniform. For hospitality studies, you will see that there is very much a division between chef and the waiter components. So not only do the learners learn about the back of house or back end in terms of where the food is prepared, housekeeping, those type of thing, but also front of house where you have your waiters, your reception staff, your frontline managers that work on the floor ground, how to prepare the food, how to serve this food, how to have a very much hygiene in environmental awareness. And there you will see that we have the chef and waiter components, and they would have to take or they're doing both of these pads, and they have to take or have knowledge on both of these sections. Then the last subject in the services subject group is tourism. So in tourism, we look at the tourism activities. So we look at how tourists act and react in our tourism industry. We look at the services and industries that offer a travel experience to groups or individuals. In other words, tours grouping or individuals traveling or business people traveling. It is also the study and the expectation of the behavior of tourists. So they look at why tourists react to certain things in the industry. And then, as we call it, the three pillars of industry, we look at the economical, social, and environmental influences that all of those three pillars have on the tourism industry, especially in South Africa. But later on, you will see there's progression. We also teaches them about international tourism. So the learning areas for tourism is the tourism sectors, map work and tour planning, why it is important to have those map work, why is it important to have a tour plan. We look at tourist attractions, We look at sustainable and responsible tourism. And then as you can see, the progression here, local, regional, and international tourism. We look at our cultural and heritage tourism, foreign exchange. Why is it important to know about foreign exchange, how to deal with that, how to do those calculations, and then also communication and client service, and how to market not only our country, but tourism as a whole. The advantages of taking tourism. Tourism teaches learners about the tourist. In other words, what is a tourist? Why do people travel? How do they contribute to the greater tourism movement? And why is it important to know that we have to act or respond to certain tourists and giving them the greatest experience, not only in our country, but also internationally as well. It also assists learners to discover the treasures of our country. So as you all know, we live in a beautiful country and there's a lot of attractions throughout our 9 provinces. So we take learners literally on a journey throughout our country to discover what we have to offer to our international clients. It also facilitates tourists in terms of how to manage and use these treasures responsibly to benefit all. And it also teaches students or learners to promote South Africa, not only locally to our local people, but also to international tourists, and to ensure that tourists experience and appreciate the value of our country. Then we also look at the major contribution to the country in terms of the GDP, and we bring relevant and real-life situations to them so that we can discuss and see how this is applicable to the tourism industry. Then let's look at the career paths that you can follow if you take tourism. We look at our tour guide. We look at a travel agent, a tour operator. We look at a field guide, a game ranger, flight attendant, and once again, teaching as well. Tips for success in this subject. Once again, the PAT that counts 25% of the year mark. So make sure that learners really take this to heart and give it their all when doing this practical. Then a map of South Africa indicating the 9 provinces. Very important for learners to know how our country is divided into our 9 provinces and where each of these provinces are on a South African map. Then also a world map will be sufficient to have. Access to a variety of tourism magazines, brochures, tourist maps, and advertising booklets, such as hotel brochures, booklets, and maps of the South African national parks or our sandparks. Also a political map of the world and a time zone map. This is for our grade 12 learners with the major cities of the world. Then the latest version of the tourism growth industry. And then once again, to know what is happening currently in our tourism industry, the trends and the movements that's happening in our tourism industry. That's all from my side. I'm going to hand over to our educational specialist, Jana Bakker, who will speak about CAT and IT. Thank you, Jana.
Thank you, Serena. I will be starting off the conversation with computer applications technology. So first of all, a short definition for CAT. This is the study of integrated components of a computer system. So this is the hardware and software components and the practical techniques for the efficient use of applications to solve everyday problems. We do recommend that you have a competent assessor during your grade 10 and 11 year for the assessment of PATs. During your grade 12 year, all your assessments will be marked by MPAC. Your practical components must be submitted on a flash drive to MPAC head office, either in person or via courier. So CAT consists of 2 main components. The first one is your practical and then your theoretical. Your grade 10 will form your basis for your grade 11 and 12. First, looking at the practical component, during your grade 10 year, you will learn about Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And during grade 11 and 12, we add Access and HTML web design. The theoretical component of the subject does cover a large variety of topics. First topic is system technologies. Here, our main focus will be the concepts of computing, hardware, software, and computer management. We will also look at network technologies and internet technologies, where the main focus will be World Wide Web and e-communication. Information management, we focus on the finding, processing, and presenting of data and information. And lastly, social implications, we focus on the legal, ethical, and environmental impact of technology. To successfully complete the practical component of the subject, the learner will need access to either a laptop or a desktop computer with minimum requirements. For hardware, a dual-core CPU, 32GB internal storage, a 4GB RAM, a high-resolution monitor, a keyboard, mouse, and USB board. For software, you will need Windows 10, Office 365, that includes Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Access. And in your grade 11 and 12 year, you will also require Notepad++, but this is a free available download. And you must have a security software, any one of your choice. Please note that all of this equipment and software will be purchased at own cost. This does exclude the Office 365 at the beginning of the academic year, and PAC will provide you with a license. So other practical requirements to keep in mind. Remember, when developing a new skill, especially when developing how to use a computer efficiently, practice is required. The more you use a computer, the easier it will get, the more efficient you will be. Please also remember we have a practical assessment task each year, and this contributes to 25% to your final year mark. So how to be successful in the subject? As previously mentioned, practice does make perfect. Also keep in mind there is some math involved, especially when doing Excel and Access. Also, general knowledge of technology is an advantage. The best way to keep up with your general knowledge is to read the news. And applying problem-solving skills is an advantage, but this is also the main skill that you will learn during your 3 years. Thank you, Serena. So to answer this question, is the subject right for you? Remember that computers are widely used across multiple career paths, and to know how to use a computer efficiently is an advantage. CAD is not a compulsory subject for any particular field of study, but any university or college or workplace does expect some level of computer knowledge and skills. So moving on to information technology. First of all, what is information technology? This is the study of various interrelated physical and non-physical technologies for using of capturing of data and processing of data into useful information, also presenting of that information. We mainly focus on the solution of problems through logical and computational thinking. This does include all physical and non-physical components for the electronic transmission and access and manipulation of data and information. So IT has 6 main topics. The first topic, solution development, is the practical component of the subject. We mainly focus on application development using Delphi, also algorithms and problem-solving skills. The second topic, communication technology, we mainly focus on networks and e-communication. System technology, the focus will be on hardware, software, and computer management. Internet technology, data and information management, we focus on the gathering, processing, and presenting of data and information. And social implications, we have a look at legal, ethical, environmental, and social issues. To complete the practical part of the subject, A learner will need access to either a laptop or desktop computer with minimum requirements. For your hardware, a dual-core CPU, 32GB internal storage, 4GB of RAM, a high-resolution screen, keyboard, mouse, and USB board. For your software, you will need Windows 10, Office 365, Daffy 2010, and a security software of your choice. All of this equipment and software must be purchased at own cost. Once again, this does exclude Office 365 that will be given to your learner at the beginning of the academic year. We do recommend that you have a competent assessor during grade 10 and 11 to assess all paths, and during grade 12, all assessments will be marked by MPAC. So there's a lot of careers that you can follow with having information technology as one of your subjects. And just to name a few, a system analyst, computer programmer, a network engineer, support personnel or game designers, even business analysts, accountants, engineer, marketers, and biologists. So to answer this question for you, if this is the correct subject for you, if you have an analytical mind, you are logical and scientifically minded, and you have a fascination regarding computers, its functions, and its applications, then IT is definitely a good choice for you. Thank you, Serena. I will now be handing over to Reinhard Cormier. He's our educational specialist for engineering, graphics, and design.
Thank you, Jana. I appreciate it. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining and still sticking with us. So I'm going to discuss engineering, graphics, and design, or what we most of the times call EGD to make it simpler. So EGD is basically teaching specific knowledge and various drawing techniques and skills so that learners will be able to interpret and produce drawings within the context of mechanical technology, civil technology, and electrical technology. So we'll be looking at different types of parts in cars and machines. Civil meaning that we're looking at different types of houses, floor plans, terrain plans, elevation drawings of those. And then obviously electrical is just the electrical components that we might use in civil and mechanical technology. Now, the learning areas include basic drawing principles, and all these topics go through from grade 10, 11, and we'll finish in grade 12. In EGD, we'll cover everything in grade 10, and each year just goes deeper, and we won't elaborate too much on it. We'll just develop your skills to be able to solve more complex and difficult problems. So you can look at drawing principles, freehand drawings, setting up drawing sheets, geometrical constructions, scales, orthographic projections, looking at different descriptive geometries, solid geometries, as I said, mechanical drawings and civil drawings, along with isometric drawings and perspective. We'll focus a bit on electrical drawings, interpenetration, development, the loci of helix cams and mechanisms, the design process, and we'll mention and look a bit into computer-assisted drawings. Now, it is important to note that CAD is not something that is compulsory to all learners. It is a choice when you do your PAT that you can then actually go and say, okay, I want to do my PAT using computer-assisted drawings. There's a lot of CADs available, but it is not compulsory at all. Thank you, Serena. Okay, so there is a lot of requirements for EGD. Unfortunately, it is to purchase at your own cost, but buying all these requirements in the beginning of a learner's journey through EGD will actually help them in the journey of it. So a lot of these things will actually just make it a lot easier for them. Not everything on this list is 100% compulsory to have, but as I said, it does make your life a bit easier. So we'll start with the most important thing is an A3 drawing board and a T-square. Masking tape, which is used to actually just keep the page in place. A3 or A5 clutch pencils, which is basically a pacer with a minimum requirement of a 2/8 lead. If you can get 2HB, 2B, different types of leads just to give your learner or your child a bit more variety when they do their drawings. Eraser, please, it has to be one of those Staedtler white and soft ones. Please do not use the one at the back of the pencils. they do tend to actually smudge your paper a bit. So let's start them in grade 10, set the standard all the way until grade 12. Then a ruler or a scale ruler. A scale ruler is, you'll see it is a triangle with different types of scales on it, meaning that the learner wouldn't have to do the calculations on their own. The ruler actually just tells them what the measurement will be. A 30-60 set square and a 45-degree set square. Please note, this is not the ones that you get in your basic junior mathematics set. You get bigger and thicker, more durable ones that actually allows for someone to draw it or to draw on a A3 page. Then a drawing compass with an adjustment wheel. That adjustment wheel is very important. Note that it's not the one you get in your math set. The adjustment wheel compass is actually quite a bit bigger, and it allows you to, again, be able to draw on A3 pages. A circle stencil just makes life a bit easier, meaning that you wouldn't have to measure every single circle out, because the circle stencil already has the diameter and radius of different circles. A French curve or flex curve ruler, that just helps learners when they have to do freehand drawings, and also just completing the loci of certain mechanisms. Okay, now these on the right, it's not compulsory, but it's said to make life a bit easier. So we have a divider. It comes with your compass set, small protractor, a dust cloth calculator, A3 sheets to do all your patterns on. And as I've said, CAD software. Again, CAD is not compulsory, but if your child wants to do some of that on CAD, they are allowed to, and we do provide 2 links, Solid Edge and Double CAD, which is free for them to use. Then please note that there's a facilitator's guide is in the form of a data link. It has to be renewed every year. The PowerPoint presentations in the program are connected to each chapter and drawing in the prescribed workbook. It offers a step-by-step guidance to help you understand the content. Basically, it is a program that you will download on a single computer. Note that the link that you will receive would not be able to download on 2 or 3 multiple desktops, on one singular computer. And then when your child is busy doing the EGD drawings, it's easy to log into the program, and it has, from grade 10 to grade 12, all the drawings, tasks, and a step-by-step instruction of how each drawing is made. Okay, so please look out. If you register for EGD, you will get that link in an email from Impact, and that is the way that you will be able to see the memos, see the steps on how to draw it, and to also have all the drawings digitally. Thank you, Serena. All right, so the different types of career paths in EGD is actually quite broad, which is nice because it gives you options as an individual. So mastering engineering, graphics, and design will allow you to apply your knowledge in many fields and careers. Okay, there's a few of them, there is a lot more, but you can become an engineering, graphics, and design specialist. It helps in architecture, interior design, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, and industrial engineering. Referring back to the topics we cover is civil, mechanical, and electrical, and then town and regional planning, quantity surveying, graphic designer, and also a CAD systems operator. You can add onto that, you can add teaching, you can become an architectural designer, construction scientist. There's a lot of more areas that EGD actually helps you apply your knowledge. And also note that not all universities requires EGD, but it really does help your child to develop the skills that they might need if they have a longing to anything in this career path. Now, please do consider EGD if you have some of the following. Again, it's not a guarantee, so if you can do this, yes, take EGD, or if you can't do this, don't take EGD. Skills can be developed, but if you find that your child has a knack for some of these things, EGD might be good to consider. So have good drawing skills, visual and spatial aptitude, realizing where things are, how it will look, and obviously being able to recognize different views is good. Having a keen eye for design, you're thorough, dedicated, and you do pay attention to detail. That's the main thing in EGD. There's a lot of small things, a lot of lines to make a bigger picture, which is then whatever you have to design. You're creative and an analytical thinker. You use your own initiative and you are a problem solver. Now, problem solving and own initiative is very important in EGD because all the measurements and dimensions are not always provided in drawings. So your child would have to actually go out and say, okay, I was provided a pentagon, I have to fit it into this part of a machine. There's no measurement. Okay, you have to take initiative, solve the problem, see, okay, I have this part of a pentagon, and then actually just using that measurement, get an auxiliary views, and then be able to transfer it to the main drawing. So it is quite detail orientated, but it is actually such a fun subject to learn. Okay, again, EGD also has a PAT, same as the previous subject, counts 25% towards your year marks. And then the grade 10 and 11, competent assessors may assess drawings and PAT, but then EGD is also a practical subject where all in grade 12, all practicals and drawings must be submitted to IMPAC. So grade 10 and 11, a competent assessor may look through it and assess, and grade 12, everything has to go to IMPAC. Okay, thank you, Serena. Okay, now just some tips for success in service subjects and technology. So the first tip for success is to make every lesson count. Please, it's important for everybody involved to understand that these lessons are there to help you. Okay, so if there is lessons you can join them. If there's something you can download it. Get as much content for each subject as you can. So attend all available online classes on the OLP. There's guidance sessions, there's lessons. There's a lot of resources that we do make available to you to actually make your journey through your courses a lot easier. Please also then make time to study and practice. All these subjects do have some sort of practical element in it, if it's a PAT or if it's physical work and research. Please note that when you take these subjects, it is time intensive where you have to go and focus a bit, sit down and do the work. Okay, keep all notes and handouts. Again, we do provide a lot of resources, but it's always nice to have something to refer back to and to know if I have this topic, it's easy because I've made notes throughout grade 10 and 11 on this, so that makes your life a lot easier. It is always important to work through past papers. Past papers are available on the OLP, and we ask questions when you are unsure, and remember that hard work and dedication pays off. Now, please make use of additional resources. You can always contact IMPAC's subject specialist, which is us. We have provided the session today. Use a private tutor if necessary. There's hundreds of thousands of tutors in the country. Please don't be afraid to ask for help. A lot of people, especially people in education, we really do try to help people and ensure that you have all the correct resources, equipment in order to successfully complete the subject. In EGD, at your boards, your papers, pencils, compasses, whatever. In IT, it's the right software and hardware, same for CAT. And then also for consumers and hospitality studies, be sure that you have everything with you. Okay, thank you, Serena. I will then hand back to Suzanne, who will end the session and then also go into a Q&A.
Thank you so much, Reinhard, Jana, and Serena. I always find these sessions super helpful just to listen through them again and get an idea of what they are all about. As always, you can reach us on our 087 number, 0874052233, or send us an email at info@impact.co.za. Like Reinhard said, please don't just sit there and struggle. Let us know if you're struggling. Send an email to info@impact. Join one of our Facebook groups. We've got closed groups for Impact registered parents and learners. Just make use of the student number or like our Facebook page to get more information. Our website contains a lot of helpful information as well, or join one of these free webinars. Like I said at the beginning, we've had a series of webinars on subject choices. I saw a couple of the questions regarding languages coming through, regarding maths and maths lit coming through. We did have fantastic sessions around this. You're more than welcome to request those recordings or just log on to OLP, navigate to resources, general documents, and have a look at the recordings that we've got there for you. We will be hosting a virtual open day. Kyra can perhaps just send us the date for that one. I think it's the 23rd of August. Yes, thanks, Cara. On the 23rd of August, so have a look on our Facebook pages or even your email. We'll invite you to the open days. And the FET open days will specifically talk about all the rules and regulations in the FET phase, what inbox products looks like, what all the subjects looks like. So we do encourage you to attend those. I did see a couple of questions coming through in terms of it, especially if the learner is in grade 9 this year. Do keep in mind that as of grade 10, a learner is no longer of compulsory school going age, and therefore that learner now enters the National Senior Certificate phase, which is administered by Sakai, the assessment body, to make sure that learners who complete their matric with impact also receives the National Senior Certificate that a learner receives the same as a DBE learner or even an IEB learner. Thank you, Cara, for posting the link so that you can have a look at that as well. For the FET open day, just click on the link to register.